Thank you very much for having me, and thank you all for coming. My name is Gerald Clift, and I'm running for Solano County Supervisor. I am a graduate of CSU Sacramento, where I graduated with honors cum laude and competed in over 30 debates on agricultural policy, in which I won the state championship for my division. I'm also a graduate of Western State College of Law, and I worked in a state Senate office for over a year, where I learned firsthand the unique relationship between state and county government. And I understand the importance of education. My fiance Alexis and I live here. We want to start a family here, and education budget's been slashed. They just laid off 23 library employees, and I think the library is a very important part of our community and could be used to help encourage people to learn new vital trade skills, whether it be through encouraging companies to come send some of their employees to train for a tax credit, or even just through apprenticeships involved through the library as well. But the poverty rates increased at more than 30% in over 4 years in Solano County. So we have to do something, especially when we have the highest unemployment rate of 9 Bay Area counties. Our county administrator is projecting a deficit of between $8 and $10 million this year. And that's largely because our supervisor voted for a budget that was $35 million more than our county administrator's proposed budget. And this has been a pattern of fiscal mismanagement that our supervisors have been doing. Specifically, they've voted, for example, to spend $4.5 million to convert the Fairfield Library into a conference center a few years ago. That money could have gone towards roads, library, really anything else. But instead, we decided to do that, and I think that was a bad decision. Furthermore, they spent $2.5 million creating the 311 call center, which was an idea to have us call a third-party department, which would transfer us to county departments, rather than just calling county departments directly. It was a total disaster. None of the departments liked it. They ended up having to scrap the whole thing. This fiscal mismanagement has also led to 459 employees losing their jobs, 144 of which were fired. The rest were encouraged to retire early, and that essentially means we're paying for their salaries still, but now we're not getting those county services. I want to protect funding for Solano County services. I want to make sure we can fix the roads. The roads are in terrible condition. They are $5 million short, according to the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's report, $5 million short of being marginal by their standards, $68 million short of being very good. This is terrible. Everyone uses roads. Roads are an incredibly important part of the community. You have to use them to get to work, you have to use them to get home. Businesses use them to transport goods and services, and we're letting them fall apart. Businesses look at this when they decide to invest in a community. How are the roads? Oh, they're terrible. Maybe we should look somewhere else. That should be what the priority is, not spending $90 million, which is the conservative estimate on the new Solano 360 project to overhaul the Vallejo Fairgrounds. It's $90 million. Think of all the things we could spend that money on, especially when we have a county structural budget deficit that needs to be addressed. And we can't keep kicking the can down the road because we only have $17 million left in reserves. At least $8 million of that's going to go this year, possibly $10 million based on County Administrator Corsello's estimates, and as much as $12 to $14 million in the following year. Furthermore, as in the midst of laying off all these employees, we also have been giving management raises. They got rid of the management incentive program, but then immediately replaced it with a 5-step salary increase. That money could have been used to save some of these jobs, but more importantly, when we reduce the salaries of people making over $180,000, dozens of which we have in this county making over $180,000, which is more than our governor's salary. So I thank you very much for coming, and I would be honored to be your supervisor, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you very much. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. I've been criticizing John's voting record a lot today, and I think in the midst of that, even though I do disagree with him on a lot of votes he's taken, I will say when I have come to him, and I said this in the last debate too, when I come to him at an adversarial basis, saying I disagree with you with something, he will sit down with me, he'll talk to me for about an hour. So I really appreciate that, but I just disagree with so many of the votes he's taken. I feel compelled to run against him. I disagree strongly with the salary they make. I think it's symbolic about the status of the county with the highest unemployment rate and poverty rate increasing by more than 30% over 4 years. To pay yourself $150,000 and to vote to give yourself a raise of a $10,400 annual car allowance, I think is just obscene. Their salary needs to be reduced. Like I said earlier, I'd like to see it reduced to $59,000 with more supervisors, so they'd represent less people and not get paid quite as much, just get paid what Yolo County supervisors make. And I think it's reasonable. In addition to that, they should get rid of their longevity pay, they shouldn't have a cell phone allowance. They need to start cutting themselves so they feel the pain that they've caused on the county employees and the services that we all rely upon. I mean, they laid off 144 employees, eliminating 459 positions. That means, aside from people that just lost their jobs and salary entirely, that means we're paying the early retirements for more than 300 people who are now no longer providing services for the community. That's the problem. That's not balancing budgets in a fiscally responsible way. That's causing problems in the future. You're not looking at the long term. So those are some major problems. In addition, I've outlined several proposals of where we need to cut. As I said earlier, start immediately with all the administrators and managers making over $180,000. That is too much for public service. They need to, I mean, we could literally, as I said earlier, afford 2 different county councils for the price we're paying for one, and we'd still be paying them more than the state pays the council for the state senators. It's ridiculous. And then there's a whole list of employees that was published by the grand jury report that make incredible salaries and need to be addressed. But it's not just about attacking their salaries. Remember, if we reduce some of these outrageous manager administrator salaries, get rid of the 5-step salary increase program you voted for, we can start hiring back some of the jobs that were providing vital services, like libraries. We didn't have to get rid of those 23 library employees, or the sheriff's department, or really any of those 144 people that were fired. I would like to see them helping Solano County in this time when we have a crazy poverty rate, crazy unemployment rate, so many problems. Our roads, one of the most important functions of government is the roads. It's even mentioned in our U.S. Constitution. Granted, the federal government hasn't done a lot on the post roads, but it's mentioned there. But when they give up the slack, that's what the county has to come in. We shouldn't be letting our roads fall to such an abysmal level that we need $5 million just to get them to marginal by the standards of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. So these are the priorities I've outlined. We need roads, we need public safety, we need education. We need to be able to have the library provide vital training services to help people in this time when we have a high unemployment. If we had, as I said earlier, if we had just a tax credit for businesses to send someone to the local libraries and teach people vital skills, I think that would be a great benefit. Aside from that, we also have a tax credit for apprenticeships. I mean, that's really good. You get to learn how a trade is done. You get to watch them as they do it. And in the process, you can give someone a tax credit so there's incentivized to send someone good to help train with those programs. But I've researched the issues very diligently. You can go to my website, geraldclift.com. I cite everything I've talked about today, and I do the same as your supervisor, and I greatly appreciate your vote. Thank you all very much.